Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome, how are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. 11 tips to let a Filipina know you are serious about her. I did a live stream one time after thinking over a response to a Filipina viewer who said she was concerned that her American boyfriend might not be serious about her, although she said she was in love with him. And I won't go into details here as I did in the live, but I did that live stream for all the Filipinas who, like her, are frustrated that their love isn't being reciprocated, or at least their interest, and they wonder if they should discontinue the relationship. Today I'm going to make similar comments for Western men so they don't make the mistake of moving too slowly and giving the impression they are not serious about what could be a special Filipina. But you know what? Maybe they're not serious about her. Please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea for many videos about a foreigner Filipina relationship that will succeed. Comments are always welcome. Sharing the videos can help other men find love beyond the sea. Many Filipinas are eager to marry. If you didn't know that, I'm not sure all Western men realize just how eager some Filipinas are to get married. They don't want to take years to accomplish this. In our case, it took less than 8 weeks for us to get married, starting the spousal visa petition with what information we could before even meeting in person, so it went very quickly. Now, how this could possibly be is the subject for another time, but this suffices to say that if she feels a certain amount of comfort level and trust has been established, then she won't hesitate to accept a man's proposal. And don't be afraid to feel like you could give her the impression you are getting too serious too soon. If you are serious, she may very well love to hear that. I apologize for the cough. I don't do it all day until I start doing a video. So here's one thing you can do, let her know you're serious about her, is talk about your past. This is the first way I will list. I think she will be drawn to a man who is able to be honest about his past, and that includes eventually some things he's not proud of. Don't be reluctant to talk about your past, even if you think it was nothing special. Just be real and be honest. If you have had problems with some area in your life, just bringing it up in the right context can help her to see that you realize you are not perfect and have been learning from your past mistakes and want to do better. Doing this will help her to see you are serious about her because you are revealing about your past, which is something you'd likely do with someone or not do with someone that you don't know at all and are not interested in knowing at all. So I think that's how she might look at that. It was when my wife first began to open up to me about things, that's when I began to feel like I might be falling in love with her, that we were starting to click. It was getting serious, that I just might be talking to the woman who I could be married to someday. Eventually, I revealed to my wife that I hadn't had a relationship in a very long time, to which she said, "The past is the past," and didn't criticize me or put me down for it. How do you like that? Now it's time to pause for an advertisement. Oh wait, I need 1,000 subscribers for that. If you like what you're hearing and you're familiar with the channel but haven't signed up, please subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea to hear tons of relationship advice with a Filipina. And this will also help it make the video easier to get ranked in all of the videos. Right now it's just like running in quicksand, but we just carry on. Another way a Western man can let a Filipina know he is serious about her is to talk about your feelings. So first one was talk about your past. Now this is to be able to talk about your feelings. I think a Filipina would like for the person she is married to be able to share his feelings with her. Often this doesn't come easy for guys, but when she realizes you are willing and able to open up to her about what makes you tick, about what's going on inside, I believe she will like that. She is starting to know you better and beginning to relate to you more. I also think this helps to build up her trust level. Once you can open up to her, she will probably tell you more about yourself. Another tip here is talk about a future with her. It's one thing to talk about our past and our feelings, our accomplishments, what we like to do, what's going on at the moment and learn about the Filipina, but beginning to chat about her, about a future with her together is a big deal. This stage comes after you get to know her a bit. She should know that having a close relationship with her is important to you. Talking about your future but not mentioning her doesn't separate you from other prospects that she has. And also try to visit her as soon as possible. It took me only 18 days to get serious enough to ask her to marry me, and she knew I was dead serious and could probably see it coming. I would suggest as soon as you get the notion that a certain Filipina could be someone that you could marry, let her know you want to see her in person. And if she wants to see you, then tell her you are going to start looking for flights as soon as possible. Even let her know your itinerary so she doesn't think that you're bluffing. Because it is possible, as she has heard before, that someone is going to come see her and he doesn't show up. I would talk to her about how excited you are to visit her and meeting her family and seeing the Philippines. You're going to need to embrace her family, by the way. In my case, my wife was the only Filipina I was chatting with at the time, and she insisted on that. And I had obliged her. I thought, wow, this woman just offered me a chance to focus on myself, or for her to focus on me. And since when has that happened with 4 other dating sites here in the United States? It can be time-consuming and almost impossible to narrow down a list of potentially thousands of women in the Philippines you could search for online. We did meet on the dating site Christian Filipina after I had become a paid member only 5 days earlier. If I had been chatting with several or more women at the same time, I think that would simply bog things down. I realize as guys we don't usually have options dating here, but that probably won't be the case in the Philippines. Try not to have a long list of must-haves. Focus on what you consider essential. She would be thrilled to have a man go meet her, somewhere or somewhat early on, for the purpose of getting to know her better, and probably move him right to the top of her list. I wonder why some Filipinas give a guy so much rope. It may be 2 years and she hasn't met him yet, 3 or more years, and he hasn't asked her for her little hand in marriage. I think if it has been 2 years and a particular man hasn't set foot in the Philippines, not counting COVID, to meet the woman he has been chatting with, he is effectively telling her that she isn't really a top priority for him. In fact, considering the distance between, that they have actually prevents visiting frequently, not to mention adding to the cost. Why not find out sooner than later if she is someone to marry? Obviously, COVID has forced some men to have to wait a lot longer than they would ordinarily, but you get my point. Webcamming offers a chance to spend as many hours a day as you want with each other, asking the type of questions that will help speed that process up. And I'll link several videos for you about questions to ask. You can also find them on my website, lvbts.com. Many guys are only kicking the tires and won't get after it. But if they're serious, I think they will show it by hustling out to meet a Filipina as soon as they can. You don't have to marry her right away, but you may find she's the one. Also, treat her special. If you give her your time and attention until it is evident you need to move on, you're going to find out faster. Try to make your online experience interesting, like watch a movie together, drive around with your phone wherever you go so she can see what it's like where you live. Remember things she says about what she tells you about her family, for example. Buy her a gift, just anything to show she's not just another pretty Filipina. And when you feel a connection, send her a text saying that you think highly of her, that you're thinking about her. And though I should say I would not tell her you love her until you're ready to pop the question. That's just too easy to do and will give her the wrong impression. She should be intuitive enough to discern if you're serious or just playing around. We used Viber and Skype in those wonderful and exciting early days. And be on time. Another tip, be on time for those webcams. It goes both ways. Of the 5 or so Filipinas I communicated with, only my wife was on time for all the calls. And it did annoy me when others didn't respond for even 5 minutes, or half an hour. You might say, what's the big deal about that? Well, to me, when someone from the other side of the world has agreed to a webcam with a Filipina, the least she can do is be there on time. There is the so-called Filipino time, which means an hour or so later. However, that shouldn't be the case with an international relationship, especially at the outset of it. And while the other Filipinas I chatted to weren't terribly late, my wife was 5 minutes early for the very, very first one we had. She was prepared. I was glad to see that. She was patient with me, as I recall, because I wasn't used to the ins and outs of webcamming. I had to buy a webcam just to talk to the women. The very first contact I had with her was one day I winked at her, and that happened to be the first day she joined Christian Filipina dating site. And I winked at her so quickly after she joined that she didn't have the rest of her profile approved yet, just her photo. And I'm still kind of surprised that I wanted to chat with her that soon, but the whole process, is so exciting. Looking for a wife from another country. I still have that screenshot, by the way, somewhere of our, initial get-together. She amazed me by telling me she wasn't feeling well, but would try to stay up for my lunch break, which would have been 1 or 2 in the morning in the Philippines. I think I told her I didn't want her to stay up that late for me to get some rest, and I will contact her soon. Less than 3 weeks later, we were engaged. She had impressed me immediately by being prompt. I have to wonder what might have happened if I had gone upstairs at my break at that time, and because it was almost over, and not notice her photo flash across the screen of my phone. She let me know right away she wanted to chat with me. I was impressed. Her name is Isa, but at first I thought it was Asia. On the other hand, if I am keeping her waiting several chats in a row, that sends a message that something else was more important. And that's exactly not the type of impression to make. Or it may tell her that I can't keep my word. 6 p.m. is 6 p.m. Her time is as valuable as mine. Look nice. I can tell you from being married to a Filipina for over 6 years now, she does care about her man's appearance. She wants her man to look presentable. She considers it a reflection of her, like obviously before you're married. Early on, you're just talking. However, wearing a decent-looking shirt, having your hair combed, and not having what's in the background that looks like a disaster will show her that the whole experience of chatting with her is important to you. Let me talk about quality and quantity time. I think it has to be both. Quality time means getting to know her. Again, please watch my videos on questions to ask. It should help with comfort level. Quality time means not dominating the conversation. It means taking notes and remembering things she says in order to build on them in later conversations. If the man she's chatting with is repeatedly asking her the same questions that she has already answered a few times, she's going to think that what she is telling him isn't important enough for him to remember or write down. I had so many women on my list that one time I called the Filipina the wrong name. It was during a chat, not a webcam. She just laughed it off, and I profusely apologized to her. Taking notes is more important if he is talking to multiple women at the same time. Sometimes you're just going to forget a name or some fact, but if it's a pattern, it will be a turn off to her. If there are a lot of misunderstandings and it's possible there's a language barrier, enough to warrant maybe not pursuing her. Quantity matters too. A man at work told me that he thought 15 minutes a day, several times a week, was sufficient. But we talked about 4 hours a day, 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, and more on weekends. About what? I'm not even sure. That was over 6 years ago. We got married so quickly, but I don't remember it being stale or dry or boring. I look forward to talking to her before work, and that was before I went to work, which was before she went to bed. And then before I went to bed, she was just getting up, and frankly, that worked out really good. And I don't think it's unusual to hear men say that they've talked to their Filipina girlfriend for several hours a day. I've heard that before. One of the things we did talk about that was crucial to me was how I intended to lead us if we were to get married. I was going to put her first above myself. I was going to protect her, provide for her, so she knew I was very serious about getting married. At any time, she could have just disappeared or told me that I wasn't what she was looking for, but she liked what I was saying. Also, ask about her parents and her siblings. She probably loves her family very, very much and will enjoy telling you about them. And I've been able to remember my wife's family names for a long time now, but initially it wasn't simple because some Filipinas have names we aren't used to here in America, so I just wrote them down. Have a singular focus, another tip. A Filipina isn't going to like it if a Western man acknowledges he is chatting with multiple other Filipinas and she is just one of them. Not at all. I know you've got options. That's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. However, that will cut into the amount of time you could be investing in one Filipina at a time, not to mention making your decision harder instead of easier. There will be options, too many of them. I will link a video for you called Chatting with Several or Chatting with One. And consider initiating. Be aware of initiating conversation. I have mixed feelings about this because it's easier for some guys to talk than for others. The main thing here is for the Filipina to not be the one who is always beginning the conversations. If her boyfriend is not real gabby, then he would do well to be a good listener and give honest answers to her and ask her the questions back. One time I had a date with a woman who answered every question I had with no trouble, but never asked about me. All she had to do was say, "And you?" But the conversation stopped after she answered, and I kind of eventually ran out of questions. So these things, talk about your past, talk about your feelings, talk about future with her, visit her as soon as possible, treat her special, little things, be on time for webcams, look nice, have quality and quantity time, ask about her parents and siblings, singular focus, and initiate conversation. There are probably more you can think of. In fact, leave a comment about how to show a Filipina she is special to you. What did you do? These early days are special times. Sometimes I wish I could relive them. Webcamming, then going to the Philippines, a place I knew nothing about, not even how very far away it was. 4 flights there, 4 flights back. But one thing I was sure of, I was serious about her. Now, I am racking up anniversaries with my love beyond the sea.